Well, I was born someone who cannot stand to be told what to do. So that kind of set me on my path of becoming an entrepreneur. I just remember being a little kid and my mom telling me, like, you need to go make your bed, and just getting so mad being told what to do. So I've always had that part of me that just is like, I'm doing my stuff. So, and then I think another big piece of that is I grew up with no television, and I had to just entertain myself with hundreds and hundreds of books. So I really learned how to get the information I needed so I could apply it.
Heroes are an inspiring group of people. Every one of them, from the larger-than-life comic book heroes you see on the big silver screen, to everyday heroes that let us live the privileged lives we do. Every hero has a story to tell. From the doctor saving lives at your local hospital, to the war veteran down the street who risked his life for our freedom, to the police officers and the firefighters who risk their safety to ensure ours. Every hero is special and every story worth telling. But there is one class of heroes that I think is often ignored: the entrepreneur, the creator, the producer. The ones who look at the problems in this world and think to themselves, you know what, I can fix that. I can help people. I can make a difference. Then they go out and do exactly that by creating a new product or introducing a new service. Some go on to change the world. Others make a world of difference to their customers. Welcome to The Hero Show. Join us as we pull back the masks on the world's finest heropreneurs and learn the secrets to their powers, their success, and their influence, so you can use those secrets to attract more sales, make more money, and experience more freedom in your business. I'm your host, Richard Matthews, and we are on in 3, 2, 1. Oh, welcome back to The Hero Show. My name is Richard Matthews, and today I have the pleasure of having on the line Gael Wood. Gael, are you there?
Yes, thanks so much for having me.
Awesome. I'm glad to have you here. I know we were just talking before we got on. You're coming in from North Carolina. Has it started to warm up over there yet, or are you still getting the snow?
It's warm right now, but maybe snow this weekend.
Yeah, I was talking to a friend of mine who's in Amarillo, Texas this morning, and they got like tornado warnings and a foot of snow last night. And then we're over here in the desert, and it's warm and sunny here. So,
yep, I'm ready for that. I'm over it.
You're over the winter. Winter takes too long, anyways. But you know, the time changed, so that means we're on our way to good stuff.
Yeah.
So for those of you following along with my wife and I's travels on this podcast, we are moved out of Southern California. We're back on the road again. We're in Arizona and on our way up the Rocky Mountains. So we're starting off here in the southern part of Arizona on the Colorado River. So that's where we're at. And Gael, what I wanted to do before we get too far into this is just do a brief introduction to you, so my audience who doesn't know you can get a little bit to know you, and they'll just dive into your story. So Gael Wood is a massage and spa professional with only over 25 years of experience in the industry. You graduated massage school at 19 to open your very own day spa and therapeutic massage center in 2003, which you ran for 6 years. 2013, you launched your first online business. And you're the co-host and co-founder of Global Wellness Professionals Marketing Summits and the Work Freedom Summit. And to date, you've created over 60 successful online courses, launched popular massage and spa marketing content clubs, written and self-published more than 15 eBooks, created a library of invaluable resources for massage, beauty, and spa professionals, such as the popular Massage and Spa Resource Bundle. And you have created a mastermind called the Elevate Mastermind, which is a program for people who want to learn how about adding an online income stream to their business. So you've done a lot. And what I want to start with is, why don't you tell me a little bit about what you are known for, right? What's your business like now? Who do you serve? What do you do for them?
Yeah, so currently I've kind of transitioned to a different business called Elevate with Gael. And that's where I just focus on helping people to live the life that they want by making small changes. And so a part of that is often having some kind of online income stream so that you can have the freedom to travel like you do and to just have more time to do the things that are important to you. So yes, I'm doing a lot of different things in that area now. In 2021, I wrote 6 new books. My goal for 2021 was 12 new books, but I never would have gotten to 6 without that goal of 12.
That's amazing.
And so, yeah, so I'm just really in kind of transition and launch mode for my new business.
Yeah. Are you still running the spa and massage stuff as well? Like as you sort of transition to the Elevate, or did you drop all of that? You're just going full tilt into the Elevate Mastermind?
I finally dropped it. I had a final sale and closed the doors on January 3rd.
Wow. So just recently closed everything.
Mhm.
Did you actually sell the business completely?
I have sold some parts of the business that were not too much me. So I didn't sell like classes that are me teaching on video, but I sold the marketing content and things that somebody else could take and run with. So I'm excited about that. And I'm also mentoring those people to help them be successful
Okay.
with
So
that.
before we get too far into your story, I want to
Mm-hmm.
find out, since you just sold a business,
Mhm.
is there anything you would have done differently right off the bat after having gone through a sale process to make your business ready for sale?
Um, Probably not. And that is because I also sold my spa many years ago. So I kind of had an idea of what I wanted um, to do with it.
Accomplish.
Yeah, what I wanted to
Yeah. So you
accomplish.
were
I
like
have,
already been through that process before.
yeah,
It's
and I
interesting
have,
because, a lot of people want to build a business that's sellable, and they don't exactly
mhm.
know what they have to do, because they'll get to a point and realize like, hey, you didn't build a business that's sellable because it's too dependent on you
Yeah,
for it. So it's
yeah. So
it's
my best piece of
congratulations on getting to
advice
that
would
point.
be to really run things under like the business name and not so much your name.
Yeah. So you have something more sellable. So
Mhm.
what I want to get into then is your origin story, right? Every good comic book hero has an origin story, and that's the thing that made them into the hero they are today. And we want to hear that story. Were you born a hero? Were you bit by a radioactive spider that made you want to get into massage therapy, or did you start in a job and eventually become an entrepreneur? Basically, where did you come from?
Well, I was born someone who cannot stand to be told what to do. So that kind of set me on my path of becoming an entrepreneur. Um, I just remember being a little kid and my mom telling me, like, you need to go make your bed, and just getting so mad being told what to do. So I've always had that um, part of me that just is like, I'm doing my stuff. So, and then I think another big piece of that is I grew up with no television, and I
Yeah.
had to just entertain myself with hundreds and hundreds of books. So I really learned how to get the information I needed so I could apply it.
Yeah, that's really interesting. So you you grew up without books, and you grew up with that sort of entrepreneur mindset of not like, I remember my first job. I hated it because they kept telling me what I had to do, and I didn't want to do it that way. I eventually
Yeah.
got fired from like my first job for that reason, because I'm not very employable myself either. Um, but I'm curious, what made you want to get into the massage business as a first foray into business?
Yeah. So honest, it was really, I guess my aha moment was when I got my first massage. I was working cleaning people's houses, and I was cleaning at a bed and breakfast, and the massage therapist said, would you come clean my house and I'll give you a massage? So I always like to try new things, and that sounded kind of fun. And this was back in the early 90s before massage was really mainstream. And so I got this massage, and that was absolutely, I guess, as you said, when I was bit by a spider, because I knew right then and there, that's what I'm going to do. I want to make people feel that amazing. And I also knew it was a path to working for myself and doing my own thing and setting my own schedule.
So how did you go from getting in the massage space to learning about online marketing and growing your massage practice on online marketing, helping other massage parlors do the same thing?
Yeah, so throughout my years of growing and building my massage business, I needed to learn about marketing, and I just loved it. It just lit me up. I thought it was so exciting and fun and creative. Um, and I realized, well, other people in this industry do not love marketing. In fact, they hate it. So around 2013, I was working a lot of hours at the spa and taking care of my two kids, and I was just feeling really burning the candle at both ends. I was tired, and I was like, I got to do something else. And I started seeing online these eBooks and workbooks and online classes popping up like on my Facebook newsfeed. And I just thought, you know what, I bet I could do that. And I started a little blog and just went step by step.
Yeah. And then you started helping massage studios all over the world with their marketing.
Yeah. So my first, I started with marketing and then also just helping therapists see ways they could make more money, like rebooking their clients more effectively, doing add-on services like spa services. So I started teaching all three of those things. And it was all about, I can help you make more money, and everybody wants to hear that.
Yeah, absolutely. So what made you want to change gears this year where you shut that business down and moved into your Elevate Mastermind?
I just think on the path of life, we're always growing and we're always changing. And after 9 years of teaching in the massage industry, I just thought, you know what, I've said what I have to say here. I've had a lot of fun, but it's time for my next step. And it's time for new people to come up in the massage industry and do their businesses.
So since you're getting this new business off the ground and starting, why don't you tell me right off the bat, what is it that you want to accomplish? Who do you want to help with the Elevate group?
Well, I really want to help other moms like myself who are saying, is this all there is? Can there be another way for me to make money and to, share what I know? And so that's really my target audience is, people who are saying, like I was, hey, I wonder if I could do that. I wonder if I could start an online business. And throughout the pandemic, a lot of my massage therapists on my list were saying, Gail, I want to teach. I want to do what you're doing. Can you help us? So it kind of just evolved.
Nice. And what's your main program that you have with that business?
With the Elevate Mastermind. So the first one that I recommend people start with is I have an 8-week course where you just kind of get your ideas organized and start the steps to building the foundation for an online business. So getting a website and coming up with your first idea for a product, figuring out how you're going to take payments, all those little details. So it's called 8-week Dream Business Creation.
Nice. And that's just like a self-study online course, or is it like a group workshop mastermind? What kind of course is it?
So what I usually do is I teach a class live the first time, and then it goes into my mastermind program for self-study. So sometimes I'll rerun a course with a live Q&As and everything attached. And sometimes I'll just leave it there for people to go through on their own.
Yeah, absolutely. That's super cool.
Yeah, there's so many different things you can do once you create a course. And that's one thing I love to teach about is once you've created something, like there's so many different things you can do with it. And that was one of my biggest aha moments in my massage and spa success business is, feeling like, oh my gosh, I created this course and only 20 people signed up and I worked really hard for just that much money. But then going, wait a minute, no, I can sell this for the next 5 years or 10 years. Mm-hmm. And so that's what I love about online business.
You created an asset.
Yeah.
You created an asset for your business.
Mm-hmm.
So you've had quite a journey over the last 20 years for your business. What I want to find out is if you have discovered your own superpower in business, right? We talk, every iconic hero has a superpower, whether that's a fancy flying suit made by the genius intellect, or maybe the ability to call down thunder from the sky. In the real world, heroes have what I call a zone of genius, which is either a skill or a set of skills that you were born with, you developed over the course of your career. It really sets you apart, right? And it allows you to help your people slay their villains and come out on top in their journeys. And so you have a superpower. We want to know what it is. And the way I like to frame it is if you look at all the skills that you've developed, there's probably a common thread that ties all those skills together. And that common thread is probably where your superpower is. So what do you think your superpower is in business?
Well, I think my superpower is just consistency and not giving up.
Yeah, 6 books in a year is pretty consistent.
Yes. And all that takes is getting up and spending 30 minutes a day and being consistent. So, and just, emailing my list very consistently, and just everything I do, I'm like, well, if it's worth doing pretty much daily.
Yeah. I had a mentor of mine say that if it's worth doing, it's worth dedicating the next 10 years of your life to.
Mhm.
And made the comparison to like parenting, right? If you commit to being a parent, you're going to be a parent for 20 years, right? If it's worth doing, it's worth committing to.
Yeah.
And why don't we treat all of our business commitments the same way we treat our family commitments? That we're like, hey, I'm here for the long game.
Yeah.
And it's when you take that long game commitment that you really are capable of doing the consistency and doing the stuff that really lets you win in the long term.
It's not easy, but when you're like, it's not working.
Yeah.
And,
Well,
but you have to believe that on some level it is working.
I've been blown away by what I have been able to accomplish in 13 years of business. Right? I mean, I've been in business longer than that, but like I count like when I got married to my wife as a big transition period and deciding like, hey, this is what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
And been very consistent over those 10 years to go from essentially, a poor wannabe entrepreneur, like eat crackers kind of like entrepreneur, to traveling the world with my family over 13 years and being world class in my space. Like that, it takes time, but it's amazing how much you can accomplish if you put in the consistent work over the long period of time.
Yeah. And so I just did a lot of, just $5 a day Facebook ads, year in and year out, just kept the consistency going. So
What did you run the ads to? Just like your eBooks that you write, or anything particular?
So I ran my ads to my free opt-in and just built my list. Yeah. And I'm not currently doing Facebook ads. It's changed a lot in the past few years. So I'm looking at, okay, well, what can I do consistently next? So I'm really looking at Pinterest ads for my next.
Pinterest ads. Have you looked at TikTok ads at all? I hear those are doing really well. A couple of clients we have that are using them are doing good stuff with TikTok ads.
I have not yet, but I'm not closed-minded to it.
Might be worth checking out if you're looking for
Yeah.
new ad platforms, because TikTok just overtook Google as the most visited site on the world.
Oh, wow.
Which is crazy.
Yeah.
So if consistency is your superpower, then the flip side of every superpower is generally the fatal flaw. Right? And just like every Superman has their kryptonite, or Wonder Woman can't remove her bracelets of victory without going mad, you probably have a flaw, something that's held you back, something that you struggled with. For me, I struggled with a couple of things. I struggled with perfectionism for a long time. It kept me from actually like shipping product. So, I could always tweak something else before I'd, bring it to market. And I also struggled for a long time with lack of self-care, which generally manifested in not having good boundaries with my clients and not having good boundaries with my time. So, I'd work myself to death. I once even decided I would see if I could go, how long I could go without sleeping, so I could just work more. Just in case you're wondering, it's about 3 days before you're puking in the bushes. So I don't suggest that. I definitely suggest taking care of yourself. But I think more important than the flaw is how have you worked to overcome it, so that our audience might learn a little bit from your experience.
Yeah, I'd say my biggest one is imposter syndrome, and just thinking that everybody knows more than me, and like, oh, I'm just a little massage therapist, what do I have to say? And even just downplaying, like, well, I wrote these books, but they're probably not very good. So I struggle with that a lot. And, just having to step up and be like, yeah, I think my stuff is pretty good. I think it can help people. And I think that's played into a lot of me not charging quite enough in my businesses. And so, we all have our stuff to work on and work through. But the more I got out there and helped people and got good feedback and testimonials, and just people saying like, you're just reading your blog has helped me so much, that does help to build up your confidence. But it's something I continue to work on.
Yeah, I think it's something a lot of us entrepreneurs struggled with. I mean, it's a lot of things, like everyone struggles with. My wife even tells me she struggles with, imposter syndrome over whether or not she's a good mom. And it's interesting because if you were actually an imposter, you probably wouldn't have imposter syndrome. Right?
Exactly. You'd be
And
overly confident.
yeah. So generally speaking, the way that I've found overcoming imposter syndrome is it's a couple of things. It's one, it's examining your skills, right? Like, do you actually have the skill that you're thinking you're an imposter about? And if you do, you can look at the results that you've gotten and be like, oh, look, I actually, this is just something in my head. It's not actually a reality. And then to your point, one of the things I like to do is I keep I have a little tag of testimonials to my photo library. So every time I get testimonials, I take a screenshot of them and I have them all tagged with testimonial. And if I'm ever like feeling it, I just go into my photo library and just type in a little search for testimonials and I'll just read them. I'll spend an afternoon reading all the testimonials I have. And I was like, I know testimonials are supposed to be used for like helping you close sales on your sales pages, but I'm like, really, they help me to just be like, hey, like I've helped all these people. I actually am doing good work.
Yeah, especially on those days where maybe somebody's asking for a refund or just not the best day, or you got some comments or something like that. But
and it's, go ahead.
Definitely working on your beliefs, like, oh, I wonder why I believe that. And I think getting into that kind of like curious mindset too is a good way to address it, instead of being like, oh gosh, something's wrong with me, I don't have any self-confidence. Just be like, I wonder why I'm feeling like this. And a lot of times
you discover that maybe you don't actually have anything to be an imposter over because you're actually doing good work. Or maybe you'll discover like, maybe I should do a little bit more work here so I don't feel that I'm not doing a good job for my clients. You might discover someplace you could do better. So it's a great way to approach it. So go ahead. Sorry. I was going to say if you're, superpower, consistency, fatal flaws, that is that imposter syndrome. And I know that's something that a lot of us have struggled with. What I want to talk about is your common enemy, right? And this has to do with the clients, let's say in your business now, right? The ones that you're working with, help them grow their online business. And, every superhero has an arch nemesis, right? It's the thing that they're constantly having to fight against in their world. And in the world of business, it takes a lot of forms, but we like to talk in terms of your clients. It's a mindset that they have that you constantly have to fight to overcome, so that you can actually help them get the results that they came to you for, right? So if you had your magic wand and as soon as someone, read your blog or bought your product or got into your course, you just bop them on the head and remove that mindset. What is that common enemy that you see?
The common enemy is probably that, that it's complicated, it's hard. Only people that have a lot of technical skills can do this, just that idea that it's difficult to do anything, marketing, raising your prices in your business, starting an online business, starting something new, teaching a class. Like, we can just overcomplicate everything. And so, what I love to do is just say, okay, but let's break it down. Let's just look at the first step and let's just start there. And we're not going to worry about any of the rest of it. So
it's the whole micro completion thing, right? Complete something small and stack your completions together. And that ends up being a big business. And I like, one of the things that I've noticed is like people talk about it being complicated, being hard. And, I work with some pretty large organizations at this point. They're doing several $1 million in sales and online courses and whatnot. And you take a look at their funnels and take a look at their back ends, and like, not everything works. It's not all perfect, right? And it's not all put together like exactly the way that it, the most ideal way possible. And you realize that like, that's just sort of the nature of things. And we look at it like, it's super complicated, therefore I can't do it. But you don't have to do it perfectly. You don't even have to do it well. Like, if you just do it, like, you can, like, momentum and course correct along the way.
I mean, I was in business 5 years before I even had a funnel. I just got people on my email list and then I just emailed them. And then I finally built a funnel and I was like, oh my gosh, I should have done this years ago. But what I was doing was working. So it's like, well, like, funnels are nice, but you don't have to have one. There's nothing you have to have. There's always multiple ways to do things.
Yeah. And you don't have to, it doesn't have to be more complex than you want, right? I know a guy who, his entire business, he runs a multi-million-dollar business. And the only thing he does is he has a single opt-in for his email newsletter that he promotes on with ads, and he sends emails. That's it. whole business. And I'm like, that's super easy. Oh man. So your common enemy is the complexity. The flip side of your common enemy is, of course, your driving force, right? Your common enemy is what you fight against. Your driving force is what you fight for. So just like Spider-Man fights to save New York, or Batman fights to save Gotham, or Google fights to index and categorize all the world's information, I want to know what it is that you fight for in your business.
Yeah, I fight for just seeing everybody reaching their full potential and reaching their goals in every area of life, because I think we can often kind of, like I've had times in my life where I've been reaching my business goals, but like you said, like my health wasn't optimum because I was working too much, or, my family life was not what it should be because I was focusing on my work. So, so reaching your full potential and having that in every area of life.
Yeah, that's really fascinating too. I know one of the things that I've always struggled with is the metaphor that people use for work-life balance. The whole legal scale thing. And people are like, here's work over here and here's life over here, and you have to try and get them to be like balanced out. And I've always thought that was kind of ridiculous, because it's not really the way the world works.
No.
And you'll never really achieve work-life balance. And so I think it's not, at least not that way. And I think it's a metaphor problem, not a reality problem, if that makes sense. So
Yeah.
the metaphor I give people is that if you look at it instead of a scale that you're trying to balance out and then failing when you realize you can't balance the scales, look at it instead as a rubber band, where you have periods of time where you're stretching the rubber band, where you're working really hard to accomplish something. Maybe that's a product launch or a book writing, or a funnel launch, or some portion of your life, or maybe it's a health goal, right? I'm working to lose 30 pounds or gain 30 pounds, which is what I did last year. I tried to gain 20 pounds of muscle, which I succeeded at. But you stretch, right? You have periods of time where you're stretching the rubber band, but there's a limit, right? If you continue to stretch, you'll break the rubber band and then it won't go anywhere. But if you stretch it out just enough, and when you release, you get a lot of forward momentum, right? Because you can shoot the rubber band. And the stage after the progress is the rubber band comes back to rest. And you sort of have to have both of those, where you have the periods of work and the periods of rest, and you have to go back and forth between them. Because if you just continue to work, you'll snap. And if you just rest, you never have any forward momentum.
Yeah. And that's why one thing I like to talk about is like, what qualities do you want in your life? Like if I want the quality of like, I have a great relationship with my kid, well, what does that look like? And that doesn't mean I have to spend time with them every single day. It just, it's like picking out what it would look like to you.
Yeah. Your perfect day. How many kids do you have, by the way? You mentioned you were a mom.
Yeah, I have 2 kids.
Nice. I have 4. How old are yours?
24 and 14.
Okay, so you made an adult. Congratulations. I don't have any of those yet. Mine are 3, 5, 8, and 12.
It's hard to imagine them ever adulting at those ages.
Oh man, I am. My oldest is hitting that like early teenager stuff, and it's like having a little irresponsible adult in your house. It's weird.
Yeah. Well, you're in for an adventure, but
oh man, I'm sure, but he's just the greatest thing ever. So hopefully the whole next season of life where I guess because I've had little kids my whole life, not my whole life, but this whole last chapter has all been little kids, and I'm moving into this next stage of having like, I don't know, they're like, it's that transition into adulthood.
Yeah.
So it's like a whole new chapter. Yeah,
you'll love like the different phases, like when you're like, oh my gosh, I can leave my kids home alone. That's really freeing.
I know. So my son is 12, and we have 3 little girls. And the youngest one is 3, and she is just head over heels in love with her older brother. Like he's the coolest thing that ever happened. And so there's like, in her order of like life, there's like her brother, and then her mom, and then like her sisters, and then all the peasants, and then dad. So like that's how her ranking goes. But it's always cracked me up because like he's to the age where he can like babysit now, and they all just love staying with him. They love hanging out with him. Like we can go out to dinner. Yeah. Like we have like a built-in babysitter because they all love him.
Like 10 years of not being able to do that, it feels pretty amazing.
Yeah, it does.
When my son was little, he thought every family had a mom, a dad, and a Grace. And he looked
And
at
a
me one
Grace.
day, and a Grace, that's his sister. And
Oh yeah.
we were with this other family. He said, Mama, where is their Grace? Which I thought was super
Oh,
sweet.
that's funny. I remember my son, he was 3.5, 4 at the time, and he didn't have any younger siblings. And because we have a hard time making babies, it's worked out all right, but we have a hard time with it. And he was all upset because all of his friends had little sisters and he didn't. And
Yeah.
he's like, what? How come I don't have a little sister? And it's funny because now he's got 3 little sisters. And I was like,
Yeah.
you wished too hard, son.
Be careful. Yeah. Or as
like,
my
can I have
daughter
a
would
brother
sometimes
now?
call her little brother, a little life ruiner.
So I know this is like totally tangent wise, but my wife and I, we tease that children, the acronym for children is children are gross, GROSS. So they're great ruiners of sleep, sex, and silence.
That is very true.
Because you'll never have a silent day again once you have
And they're
a whole
gross.
pile of
The
children.
stuff they spill in the car, like they're gross too.
Yeah, all the time. Like my children came back from yesterday playing at the park, and I was like, it's like they changed their race from like little Caucasian kids to little dirt monsters.
Yeah.
And because they were just head to toe, they were completely brown from dirt. And I was like, we had to like hose them off outside before we'd let them inside, because they were, I don't know what they did in the dirt, just like rolled around in it and caked themselves with it, but it's the way they are. So I want to talk then a little bit about some practical things in your business, right? And I call this section of the show the hero's tool belt. And it's like every superhero has their tool belt with awesome gadgets like their batarangs or their web slingers or their laser eyes, or Thor's got his big magical hammer that he can fly with. I want to know the top 1 or maybe 2 tools that you couldn't live without in your business. Could be anything from your notepad to your calendar to your marketing tools to something you use for product delivery. Anything you think is essential to getting your job done.
I think the biggest thing is my imagination and giving myself space each day to work on new ideas. Like if you're going to create 60 courses in just a few years, you've got to have new ideas bubbling up and time to create. So it's really easy to wake up in the morning and get up on the computer and start looking at emails and did anything sell while you were asleep at night and checking customer support. But I think my biggest tool is to give myself some space each day to let ideas bubble up.
Can you walk us through how you do that? Like, because you are incredibly prolific with courses and books and stuff like that, and I imagine a lot of people, myself included, wonder how they can even do half of what you do from a creative perspective. Like what's sort of your process?
So I think my process is I read a lot and I learn a lot. I take a lot of classes myself, so I always have new good stuff coming in. And then I try to spend just some quiet time each day. Usually it's going for a walk and leaving my phone at home. And then I do focused journaling and idea generating. So I'll just be like, what's next? I need 10 ideas for a book. And I'll just try to brainstorm 10 ideas for a book or 10 ideas for my next course. And at the same time, I'm kind of watching and listening, like, what are my clients mentioning recently? What's coming up for them? What are people saying in my Facebook group that they need help with? What are they talking about? My marketing content club, which is definitely my most successful program ever, came from my marketing boot camp, where I was like, you guys, here's, what you need to do. You need to have a social media strategy and you need to send email newsletters. And they're like, well, that's great, Gail, but who has time to create all this content? And I was like, I do, and I'll sell it to you. So, just kind of a lot of times one thing will lead to the next thing. But I think, just give yourself that space to have a clear head and listen, and don't shoot your own ideas down. You're going to have a lot of ideas. They won't all be good, but some of the ones I didn't know were going to be popular were
more at bats, right? You have to show up and put more buy buttons out there and see what works, right? Because I was reading a book by Alex Hormozy, and he's like, the entrepreneurs who really succeed are the ones, they'll put 1,000 offers out and they'll find one that knocks it out of the park.
Yeah.
Right?
And if something's a big flop, you can roll it into a bonus with a different course, or stick it in your free opt-in. Because I don't create anything I don't think is important, but not everything that I think is important is really what people want to buy.
Yeah.
So it's kind of that whole sell people what they want and then give them what they need.
Yeah, absolutely.
So when I try to sell them what they need, sometimes it kind of doesn't.
That's not sexy enough. I don't want that.
Right.
It's not shiny enough.
Yeah.
And it's very true. Like I have a program that teaches people how to structure content. Right. So like how to structure content for a book or for a webinar. And like it teaches you the mindset behind how you outline persuasive content. And which is a very unique thing. And it's also super powerful. And everyone I've ever shared it with has been like, I never knew I needed this. And then once they have it, they're like, I use it on everything, but no one will ever buy it because it's not the kind of thing that they think they want. So it's the kind of thing that like I have to sell other things and then show that to them in the process.
Yeah, I did a program. I did writing to sell in your massage or spa business. I was like, this is great. Writing to sell. I'm going to teach copywriting. Nobody bought it. Nobody wanted it. But I put it on as a bonus with almost everything after that. I was like, well, you need this.
Yeah, you're going to need to know this information, right? That's the same kind of thing, right? I've built a framework that's how to do persuasive teaching, essentially, and persuasive writing. And it gives you an outline, like how to outline courses and how to outline webinars and how to outline anything you want, really, following a really tried and true like psychology background on how you actually write this kind of stuff. And I love it. And I use it like every day. And we use it for writing ads, and we use it for writing email sequences. We use it just constantly. I use it for writing home pages, how you write your about page story. It's over and over and over again. It's like an ad nauseum kind of thing. And I couldn't sell it to save my life because nobody wants it. So it's an interesting.
It's just in the name. It could be like your $1 million template, and then everybody would buy it.
Yeah. I've tried a bunch. We'll have to see. Maybe I can come up with something good at some point. But yeah, I totally get it that, you create everything. You just have to have more at bats. You got to find the stuff that really connects with your audience, right? And then the stuff that connects, that's sell them what they want and then give them what they need, right? So you can give them, whether it's bonuses or, mastermind group coaching calls or tools like I've got, you can give them the things that are important.
Yeah.
So. And now, a quick word from our show's sponsor. Hey there, fellow podcaster. Having a weekly audio and video show on all the major online networks that builds your brand, creates fame, and drives sales for your business doesn't have to be hard. I know it feels that way because you've tried managing your show internally and realize how resource intensive it can be. You felt the pain of pouring 8 to 10 hours of work into just getting 1 hour of content published and promoted all over the place. You see the drain on your resources, but you do it anyways because you know how powerful it is. Heck, you've probably even tried some of those automated solutions and ended up with stuff that makes your brand look cheesy and cheap. That's not helping grow your business. Don't give up though. The struggle ends now. Introducing Push Button Podcasts, a done-for-you service that will help you get your show out every single week without you lifting a finger after you've pushed that stop record button. We handle everything else: uploading, editing, transcribing, writing, research, graphics, publication, and promotion, all done by real humans who know, understand, and care about your brand almost as much as you do. Empowered by our own proprietary technology, our team will let you get back to doing what you love while we handle the rest. Check us out at pushbuttonpodcast.com/hero for 10% off the lifetime of your service with us, and see the power of having an audio and video podcast growing and driving micro celebrity status and business in your niche without you having to lift more than a finger to push that stop record button. Again, that's pushbuttonpodcast.com/hero. See you there. And now, back to the Hero Show. Cool. Well, then I want to talk a little bit about your own personal heroes. Right. Every hero has their mentors. You know, Frodo had Gandalf, Luke had Obi-Wan and Kenobi, Robert Kiyosaki had his rich dad, even Spider-Man had his Uncle Ben. If you watch the newest movie, it wasn't Uncle Ben, it was Aunt May. But who were some of your heroes? Were they real life mentors, maybe peers, speakers, authors? You know, and how important were they to what you've accomplished so far in your career?
Yeah, so I'd say Leonie Dawson. She was kind of teaching online business for hippies back when I started out online, and I really resonated with her. I was like, oh, if she can do it, I can do it.
Nice.
And then a lady named Kat Laturzo, and she's the one that kind of helped me learn that, like, you know, you don't have to have everything done ahead of time. You can write a sales page and launch it and then create all the content. And that was a huge turning point in my business. When I was like, oh, I can just put stuff out there and start selling it and then create it. So James Altucher with the idea generating.
His podcast.
Yeah, I love his podcast, his show on Prime, and then his books. So that's where I really was like, oh, I'm going to do this focused idea generating process and build my idea muscle. So I learned that from him. And then Dr. Wayne Dyer. He's just my go-to anytime I'm feeling a bit low. I put in my Dr. Wayne Dyer audios, and he's like a reassuring dad.
Help you on your way. Yeah, I've always been it's always my favorite question to ask on these podcasts, is just because I love to see where people get their influence from, like who's influencing them. And you know, like it always pops into my head. I always wonder, am I doing the kind of work that if someone else asked that question, my name would come up? Right? Am I worthy of that? And I always like to think through that as I'm doing my work. Am I acting in the kind of way that I might be the hero in someone else's story?
Yeah. And I'm sure you are.
I hope so. I try. And we know you are. You've got clients all over the place that have been following your work, helping build their business. So I want to talk a little bit then about your guiding principles, right? So one of the things that makes heroes heroic is that they live by a code. For instance, Batman never kills his enemies. He only ever brings them to Arkham Asylum. So as we wrap up the interview, get near the end here, I'm going to talk about the top one or maybe two principles that you use regularly in your life. Maybe something you wish you had known when you started out in your own massage parlor at 19 years old.
Yeah. I definitely, because I had 2 failed massage businesses before I figured out what I didn't know, which was marketing and business skills, and started learning those skills. So, you know, I guess I thought I would just print some business cards and people would come out of the woodwork, but they did not.
Yeah.
So I would say getting out of my comfort zone, it always seems to lead to bigger and better things. So the more you can get out of your comfort zone daily, take on things that you think you're not ready for, you'll step into being the person who is ready for it.
Yeah, I love that. One of my biggest piece of advice my dad ever gave me, I was asking him about marriage and whether or not I was ready to get married at one point in my life. And he looked at me and he goes, "That's the wrong question." And he goes, essentially the action, the act of doing something is what makes you ready. Right? Because you'll never be ready by waiting until you're ready. He's right. Sometimes you just have to dive in because you're never going to know if you're ready for something until you actually do it. And you know, I was in the context of marriage, but I realized it applies to a lot of things in life and business. And so if you wait until you're ready, you'll never do anything. Yeah. And so you have to, you know, and I had a mentor more recently tell me that life begins where your comfort zone ends.
Yes, I have found all of that to be very true. Like, say yes, say I do, and things seem to either you learn or you win. That's one that I learned from the wrestling room when my son was a little wrestler. But you either learn or you win. Either way,
Yeah, I
get out there.
know. I tell people all the time now, they ask me what my biggest piece of advice in business is. And I always tell them is take the risk.
Mhm.
The one that you're vacillating about, the one that you're thinking about, the one you're like, I don't know if I can do this, do it.
Yeah.
Just do it. And, jump off the cliff and learn to build the parachute on the way down.
Mhm.
Right. And that's what will force you to create that success muscle, is because, you know, the path to success is paved with failure. Right. And that's, so, and we, for whatever reason, we've grown up with this whole like failure is bad and I can't do something if it might fail. No, you have to fail a lot to get to the stuff that works really well. So just do it and learn.
Mhm.
Right. Learn and
Yep.
then succeed.
I hired 4 new team members this week. And any practical person looking at my business would be like, you can't afford 4 new team members this week. But I'm like, but this is what I need to do to get to the
Yeah.
next step. Plus, I've learned that I always hired multiple people at once and see who rises to the top. Because there's
Yeah.
always
I
a
had,
percentage that kind of don't show up, don't do anything. And then if you only hired them, you have nobody.
I have had a mentor of mine a number of years ago now, and we were at a mastermind thing. And at the end of the mastermind, he pulls me aside and he goes, "You're your own bottleneck in your business. What I want you to do when you leave here is go back home and hire this person full time to do this work for you." And I was like, I can't do that. Like, I don't have the money for it. And that's wrong. And he's like, I can't really explain this to you because you're not going to get it until you do it. He was like,
Yeah.
just go out and hire this person. And I was like, but I don't know how to do that. Like, I can't hire someone that I can't afford. He was like, trust me, do it anyways.
Mhm.
And I remember I vacillated on that for 3 months before I just bit the bullet and did it.
Yeah.
And the very next month, our productivity went so far through the roof that we way more than paid for his salary. And I was like, oh, now I
Yeah,
get it. But
exactly. You have to leave before you're ready. And I remember years ago talking to my VA on the phone one day, and I was like, hey, I got to go, I'm at work. And she was like, you have a day job? And I was like, yeah, how do you think I pay you? So, but I just knew I needed that help to get to where I wanted to go and to be able to quit my day job.
yeah,
So,
I at one point I was a director of marketing, um, and for a big solar company, and I hired someone with my salary. I hired an assistant, like a virtual assistant.
mhm.
And so like I already get a lot of work done, but then I had someone else working for me helping me get things done. And I remember my boss was like, you're like 10 employees. How the hell do you do that?
You're like, I'll take a raise, please.
Yeah, it's like, because I do things differently than other people.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely, you take the risk, right? So it's a great principle to get out and do things before you think you're ready for them. Well, I think that is a great point to wrap our interview, but I do finish every interview with a simple challenge that I call the Hero's Challenge. And I do this to help get access to stories I might not otherwise find on my own. So the question is simple. Do you have someone in your life or in your network who you think has a cool entrepreneurial story? Who are they? First names are fine. And why do you think they should come share their story on our show? First person that comes to mind for you.
Um, my client, Ann Bell. I think she has a great story. Um, she is single. She is a massage therapist for many years. Now she's launching a coaching business. She traveled the world by herself. And I just think that she would be a great person to share her story.
Awesome.
She's
Well,
a great storyteller too. She's really good at speaking.
Cool. Well, I will reach out after the interview and see if we can get an introduction. Sometimes they say yes, and we get cool stories out of that. And what I want to do here to just wrap us up is, in comic books, there's always the group of people at the end who are clapping and cheering for the acts of heroism. So as we close, our analogous to that is, I want to know, where can people find you if they want your help in the future? Where can they light up the bat signal, so to speak, and say, hey, Gail, we'd like to get your help growing our business and making small changes to get big improvements, right? And I think more importantly than where people can go is, who are the right types of people to reach out and actually light up that bat signal.
Yeah, if you're just feeling like, I know I can do this, but I'm not sure how to put all the pieces together. I'm not sure how to find time I want to invest in my business or in the things that I want to do. If you're wanting a change, but you're not even clear on what that might look like. And if you're in startup mode for an online business or thinking about starting one, head over to my website, elevatewithgael.com, and have a look around at my blog posts. See if you think that what I'm about and what I teach and share is for you. You can also grab my free ebook. It's called Decluttering Your Schedule. The most common thing I hear from people is, I don't have enough time. And I think that you do. So in that book, there's a lot of mindset shifts about how we spend our time, and just like hiring people in our business before we're ready. Sometimes hiring people to bring us our groceries or clean our house is exactly what we need to do so that we can get to the next step or the next place. And so that book takes you through a whole process of auditing your time, really thinking about how valuable your time is, and, anything that you don't like doing, creating a plan to let those things go.
Yeah, absolutely. I know I made dramatic shifts with my relationship to time about 4 or 5 years ago. I told you I was trying to if I can if working a little bit is good, then working a lot must be great, which is a terrible mindset, by the way. I learned that was a terrible mindset when I tried it. But what I found instead works really a lot better is to put restrictions on your time, because creativity thrives with restrictions.
Yeah.
And I have found that when I started going from hey, instead of working every day, maybe working just 5 days, and instead of working 5 days, maybe working 4, and maybe instead of working full days, maybe we only work half days. And now I run 2 businesses on 4 hours a day, 4 days a week, and travel the rest of the time and hang out with my friends and family and do what I want and make more money than I ever made when I was working 90 hours a week.
Yeah, because when you set up those limits, you're like, okay, well, I have to get my stuff done. I'm not doing it tomorrow because I'm not working tomorrow. So a lot of times we need to set boundaries with ourselves, and then also with people in our lives, and ask for help. I was in I'm just going to do it all, and I'm going to run my business and do everything for my kids. And, it was just silly. My children have 2 parents.
Oh, that's one of my wife's favorite lines to my children, because for whatever reason, all the time, any problem they ever have for anything, they always ask her first. And a lot of times it cracks me up, because they will walk past me when I'm obviously not doing anything and completely available to go ask my wife, who's in the middle of something and not currently available to help her with something. And she'll look at me like, you have 2 parents, one of whom you passed by.
And so we can sometimes we just do things because we've always done them that way. And it's great to reevaluate every now and again, what's going on here? Because I had things I was doing, because my husband worked full time and had an employer, but now he's self-employed. And I was like, well, I don't have to do, he can leave his office when he wants to. So we really just kind of rejigged our whole thing that we do here.
Absolutely. So where was the name of the blog where they can go to find your stuff again?
Yeah, it's Elevate with Gael, and Gael is spelled GAEL.com. And yeah, that's where you'll find me.
Awesome. So elevatewithgael.com. We'll make sure the link to that is in the show notes. And again, if you're looking to grow your business or make some changes, definitely reach out to her, see if what she's doing is a good fit for you. Gael, thank you so much for coming on the show with us today. Do you have any final words of wisdom for my audience before I hit this stop record button?
Yeah, if you're thinking about doing something, if there's a risk that you want to take, just bite the bullet. Now's the right time.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Gael. I appreciate having you on today.
Yeah, thank you so much.